of the City Council of the City of Pacifica. It is Monday, November 17th at 5:33 p.m. As this is a special meeting, we won't have regular public comment, but we will be having a public comment period after we have a staff report and hear from the candidate firms. But we'll start with calling to order, and City Clerk Coffey, if you could call the roll.
Councilmember Wright.
Present.
Councilmember Espinosa. Here. Councilmember Beer. Here. Vice Mayor Bowles. Here. And Mayor Beckmeyer.
Present. And I'll do my land acknowledgement. The City of Pacifica acknowledges that we occupy the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. We honor the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples for their enduring commitment to Mother Earth. As the indigenous protectors of this land, and in accordance with their traditions, the Ramaytush Ohlone have never ceded, lost, nor forgotten their responsibilities as caretakers of this place, as well as for all peoples who reside in their traditional territory. We affirm their sovereign rights as First Peoples and wish to pay our respects to the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples. And please join me in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so we have a special meeting this evening for the selection of the executive recruitment firm to conduct the city manager recruitment. The way that the order will go is Vice Mayor Bowles and I, as we were the ad hoc subcommittee, we will be giving the staff report, which you all received in your email and hopefully have had a chance to review. We'll give a brief overview of that. And we will also hear from the two firms by Zoom. And then we will have any clarifying questions from council, then public comment, and then we'll have deliberation and discussion. City Attorney?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to note for the record that City Attorney Kenyon is on the Zoom and available in case there are questions.
Thank you very much. All right, so you recall that at the October 13th meeting, we discussed and decided to retain the services of a executive recruitment firm to aid us in identifying and bringing forward candidates so that the council can select the new city manager. And we went over what that overview process would be and decided that to flesh it out and to have the opportunity to really dive into the nitty-gritty of that process, we would form an ad hoc, which the ad hoc subcommittee, as I said, is myself and Vice Mayor Bowles. We met with the city attorney once or twice before interviewing the firms. We had 4 firms that we looked at, and we interviewed 3 of them. As you saw in the staff report, we've brought forward 2. But I thought maybe it would be beneficial to go a little bit over the process. So it was done by Zoom, our interviews with the firms. The 3 of us were on those Zooms. And we did have some clarifying questions that were sent by email. We also had a second Zoom meeting with Peckham and McKinney because there were some questions from the initial presentation, and that's the point at which we had Tony Dollar. I need to know how to pronounce his name because I can't remember if it has
Dollar Brook.
Dollar Brook.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, because I wasn't sure if it was Dollar Brock, and I was like, I'm going to ask Greg. Okay, great. Thank you so much. So that was our process. And then we did our own discussion and deliberation amongst ourselves in our ad hoc and really thought through, did we have a strong recommendation And we went back and forth looking at schedules, looking at the process, looking at the application packages that were put forward, and the sample recruitment brochures. And the ultimate outcome was that we decided there are two firms of the three that we interviewed that we felt the whole council should have a chance to talk to and to see. And, I'll just say from the meeting on the 13th of October, it was clear that there was a lot of interest on the part of all the council members in really having an opportunity to understand what the firms were putting forward and to have kind of a hands-on opportunity. But in the interest of efficiency, it also made sense to have an ad hoc committee. So we're kind of doing a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Vice Mayor?
And just to add, so there is one firm that we decided was a little too rigid, and, we're a council and a city that needs a little bit more flexibility and maybe some slightly different processes than others, and so that flexibility was important. And then on one of the two firms that we're bringing forth today, the initial recruiter we weren't comfortable with in terms of their experience, so we went back, and Tony is the head of the company and has agreed to be our recruiter here. So I mean, I think we both think that both firms are qualified. They are both working in similar schedules. They both have really good contacts. That's a lot of the work, right, of who they know, right, that might be interested in this position and how they get the word out. The nuances are really about who do we all feel comfortable working with, right? Because it's a very close relationship between the council and these recruiters. So both recruiters who will be presenting tonight will be the actual people that we will be working with, and that will also be interviewing, staff and so forth as part of the process.
Okay. Any questions on what we've said?
I appreciate the collaborative approach, and this far, it's going extremely well.
Yeah.
Thank you for all your hard work.
Yeah. And thank you, City Attorney Michelle, who is here with us in voice. And thank you, Assistant City Attorney Denise Pisano, for being here in person with us tonight.
I also can be available on video too, if need be. So in fact, I will just say hello. Hello?
Hello.
I'm here.
Hi
So
there.
if you need me, just let me know and I will get back on video.
Thank you so much.
And I just want to thank Michelle too, because she's been through this with her other cities and with Pacifica many times, right? So she's really the experienced person that's guiding us who have not done this before through this.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up. I have been involved with executive searches, not for the city, but for school districts, and also at San Francisco State University. So I'm comfortable with the idea of an executive recruiting firm. I understand the process in that regard. But yes, the specifics of city manager recruitments, I hadn't been involved with before. All right. Well, City Clerk Coffey, do we have our presenters?
We do.
Okay. I think I'm going to go ahead and call Gary Phillips from Bob Murray and Associates to start us off, as that's the order in which they appear in the staff report. Hello, Gary. Are you there?
Give it just a moment while we get him onto panelist.
I know it takes a minute. I'm always so like.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
We sure can. There you are. Hello.
Hi there.
So Gary, if you would please, we have about 5 minutes. If you can give us an overview, as you did with our ad hoc, but give us, the highlights of your presentation, your approach, and what you would bring to us as a executive recruiter.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor. So let me start with a little background on Bob Murray and Associates. Bob Murray and Associates have been doing executive level recruitment in the municipal space for about 25 years. In 2014, my wife, Valerie Gata Phillips, and I acquired the company from Bob Murray. And so for the last 11 and a half years, we have owned the firm. And have focused on evolving the company. Both my wife and I came out of the private sector. Our whole career was in the Silicon Valley, so we're Northern California, Bay Area, private sector folks that were doing recruiting in the private sector. We came into this public sector space and tried to bring a little bit of that private sector search mentality to the public sector. A couple of things that we did when we took over the company was to focus on three things. We wanted to connect with the next generation of leaders. We wanted to increase our social media footprint, and we wanted to focus on diversity as well. We are a woman minority-owned firm, and my wife and I do the bulk of the executive recruitments that report to elected bodies. I've done over 80 positions, either city managers or CAOs or GMs in the last 12 and a half years. So I've got a lot of experience working with elected bodies to develop a process that works for them. One of the things we talked about with the ad hoc committee is that there isn't a one size fits all. There was a mention of rigidity. One of the things that I've learned is every search is unique. And so although we put together a proposal that lays out kind of a timeline with milestones, we always start out our search by customizing those milestones to meet the needs of our client and how to engage the different stakeholders in the process. That's just a little bit about the firm and about my background and experience. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Council?
I personally would prefer to hear from both candidates prior to asking questions, if
Sure,
that's all right.
that's fine. That works for me. Is there anything else that we wanted them to cover right at this point, Vice Mayor?
I just want, just in terms of the schedule, I know we had talked about starting work and getting the recruitment out, before the holidays. Is that still possible in your timeline, assuming a contract is signed tomorrow?
Absolutely, yeah.
Great.
Great. All right, wonderful. Stay tuned, Gary, stay right there. We'll be back.
All
Thank
right.
you. And the other firm is Peckham and McKinney. It's Tony Dollerbronk. Are you there, Tony? Dollerbronk. I'm going to
I
have.
am, and good job on my name.
Okay, great.
And phonetically, it's Dollarbrok. So Dollarbrook. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I go by Tony. So a little bit about us. Let me start out by saying I think you'll find in firms that you work with that we generally follow a similar process, and we're totally flexible on how we go about it, but generally speaking, steps in the process are the same. So what's really important in selecting a search firm is, and what makes us special on top of it, is the relationship. We have very, very strong relationships and positive communications and responsiveness with our client. We only work for cities and counties and special districts. And that relationship is really important. And to you, what's important in selecting somebody is the right fit with the recruiter, so you can have trust and confidence in what we're doing on your behalf. The other part of that relationship is what we have with the applicants themselves. We do have references in our proposal. And I encourage you to call our applicants, those who got jobs and those who didn't, because I think you'll find from talking to them as well is that we just go out of our way to maintain really strong communications and relationships with everybody. About us, and toward that end, we're a firm, I own the firm, but we're a firm of retired annuitants. I'm a retired city manager. I know the city manager job, and all of us who work for the firm have had long-time positions in cities. So we understand what the job's about. Because we're retired annuitants doing this as an encore, we're doing it because we care about helping cities be successful. and accomplishing their goals with applicants and candidates that'll be there a really long time. And that's really important to us. Diversity, of course, is as well too. And that is part of our ethic, is finding people of color, as well as just strong candidates to fulfill what it is that you're looking to accomplish. Peck and McKinney's been around about 25 years. I retired from city management in 2019 and started working with Bobby Peckham, Phil McKinney. During COVID, they decided to get married and retire. And because of the ethic that they created and the culture they created, rather than the firm going somewhere and changing the values that we have, I acquired it from them. I am doing searches actively, done a ton of city manager searches, as well as other positions. And we have maintained that same culture and value. Actually, you may know that we placed Kevin there originally, long time ago. Some other just unique things about us is with a recruiter, with me, I will be doing everything. So I'll be talking with all of you. I'll be writing the brochure. I'll be doing the outreach. I'll be reviewing applicants. I'll be sitting in the interviews. One point of contact and one person who understands everything that's important to you for getting you the right person. I could go on, and our process is in the proposal. But again, happy to answer questions, and I can give you more specifics if you like.
Great. All right.
And I'll just ask my same question again, Tony. Are you, assuming the contract is signed tomorrow, are you still available to start so that we can hopefully have a brochure completed before the holidays and sent out?
Absolutely. I can start tomorrow.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I have one light. Councilmember Beer, please go ahead.
Good evening to both of you. Thank you. And I really appreciate this opportunity to be able to ask a couple questions if we want to. So thank you so much. And so the question is for both of you. How can you assure us that there'll be diversity and equity within your outreach?
I'm happy to jump out. And I'll be honest, and that's part of our relationship. I can't ensure it. We're going to do our darn best to get it for you. But there's a saying: you can lead a horse to water, you can't force him to drink. We're going to do everything we can through our network, through the outreach that we do that's targeted to people of color, to the people that I call who may know other people. I think, again, we have a good, strong reputation of finding diversity in applicants. In the end, it's your call who you hire, and we're going to bring you the best candidates regardless. So I can't promise it, just being honest, but I'm going to do my absolute best.
Stop, scared me.
Sorry. Ignore that.
I'm sorry. When they reconnected me, I missed the question. If you could re-ask that question.
Actually, yes, I'm happy to. How can you assure diversity and equity within the outreach, just the outreach itself?
Yeah, well, that's one of the things I touched on it a little bit, that Valerie and I, when we took over the firm, that was something that really is a core value of ours. And we put a lot of effort into making sure that we connected with all the different diversity groups on LinkedIn and other professional organizations. And so we belong to a lot of these diversity groups and are very active in those groups. And so we make sure to target them as part of our marketing campaign. And I think, our results kind of show for themselves. A large percentage of the city managers that we place are either people of color or women. And so we've got a really strong track record. You can go to our website. It has all of our placements, and you can look at those placements with their pictures and you can scroll down through them. So that's something that we take pride in, that we are going to target those groups to make sure that we can bring the most diverse candidate pool possible.
Thank you. Other questions?
Yes, I do have a question. Oh, sorry. I do have a question, and it is, it is about, like, how do you find people? Like, how do you make sure that, especially, well, I'm going to change that question to this one. How do you make sure that this person will understand our problems? Like, Pacifica is very unique. How do you do, what question will you ask to make sure that this person understand our community? Like, Pacifica, like I said, is very unique on the issues that we have. And the other thing is, like, we want to make sure that the city manager will listen to the community and also to the council. That is important to me. That we have a communication between the city manager and the council. It's not that we don't have it now, but, you know, I want to make sure that that is in place.
Okay, let's have
Tony,
Gary, go ahead. We'll have you
yeah, I
start.
was going to say I can take
Yeah.
this one first.
Yeah,
Tony
sure.
took the last one. That's an interesting question, because I think it starts with me, the recruiter, understanding what it is that's going to make for a successful city manager in Pacifica, right? So the first step in all recruiters' process is to go on this listening tour, where I want to hear from all the different stakeholder groups. What are the current opportunities and challenges? What is the leadership style, the communication style? What is it that works there in Pacifica? Because every city's different. And so understanding first, so that me as the recruiter understands what that profile looks like. As we develop the profile of the unicorn that's going to be the perfect next city manager Pacifica, once I have that information, then I know, as I'm talking to candidates, I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of city manager and potential city manager candidates that I know personally, and I can start trying to target who the folks are that I think has the right personality, the right communication style, the right background experience. So it starts with the recruiter understanding what the needs are and what's going to work there. Then through the process, the candidates do their own homework, and they should be doing their own learning about Pacifica. And it's a process that they're going through. So this process of you as the hiring entity trying to find the right candidate, the candidates are also going through that process of trying to make sure it's a good fit for them as well. And so through the process, we'll be able to learn more about the candidates, understand how they communicate. That's why we have multiple rounds of processes, of interviews. We talk to references who've worked with these folks in the past. All those things will kind of guide us towards that. But understanding the specific, unique opportunities and challenges facing Pacifica and what communication style that you're going to need in a city manager, that's a big part of the process.
Great, thank you. Tony?
And I would say, again, you're going to hear similar things from both of us. You know, I have the same network as Bob Murray, and we're going to do the same listening tour. I'm going to talk to each one of you individually. I'm going to talk to the staff. We're going to hear from the community to find out what it is that's important for the successful match that you'll have with your city manager. I've also done my homework. I understand your measured why. I understand your structural forecast, financial forecast, looked at your strategic plan. So I've already started to inform myself. I want to listen to what all of you have to say is important. I'm going to write a candidate profile that you review and you approve to make sure it responds to what you are looking for, because that's the foundation for which we then go out and find people. Again, you know, you're going to find a similar process between the different firms. You know, in the end, it's our communication and relationship that needs to be important.
Thank you. Next question. Greg, do you want to go?
Are we going round robin? Because I have more than one.
I know, and I know how you want to be respectful, but if you have, Let's ask one question at a time to give them a chance to respond.
Okay, could both of you, and I don't have a preference on who goes first,
This time it will be Tony that goes first.
what is your historical average length of placement of city managers?
Gosh, I would say, I mean, Kevin being a really good example, it's been a long time. And I would say on average, probably 5 years. I think it's changed. I'll just, again, before upfront on it, COVID really changed things. People are moving around more. The next generation has different values and motivations. But, you know, we have a really good track record, again, of long-term placements. That's a result of, again, doing all that homework, understanding what you're looking for, and finding that right match.
Thank you. Gary?
So on that question, we actually went through this exercise about a year ago. We went back and looked at the last 10 years of city managers we have placed, and so we actually did a calculation, and it turned out that we were right on track with what Tony was just saying there. We were right at 5 years on the average. The state average for CMs, I think, is down about 4.5 years right now. So it's dropped a little bit below 5 years, and it's about two plus election cycles is what is kind of the average right now in the state of California. So we're tracking right there.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to keep going, Greg, or does someone else want to jump in?
Happy to.
Go ahead.
Could they both speak to their guarantee policy?
Did you understand that question? Did you hear it? I don't know if your mic is close.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I get it. So I think this one's mine
Yep,
first.
you go first. Thank you.
So we guarantee that if the person leaves within the first year, whether they're let go or whether they choose to leave, we will redo the search at no additional fees. And I think, I don't have my proposal in front of me, but we may ask for a reimbursement of hard costs like ad placements and things like that, but no additional fees beyond that.
That's my recollection from reading your proposal too, so,
Yeah.
which is normal.
Thank you. Tony?
And we do charge a fee depending on the circumstances. But let me start out by saying I can't think of a time where I've ever had to call that out. Again, because all the pre-work makes all the difference for a successful outcome. We charge more than just reimbursement. And I think, you know, it's a rhetorical question. What would motivate us to go out and do this all over again if we're not getting paid for it? What are we going to do different to try to get an outcome? And to answer that question, we charge a reduced fee, clearly, but it's motivation and essentially a guarantee to you that we are actually working hard to try to do this another time. If we used to charge just expenses, as Gary talked about, they do, but you know it doesn't guarantee you anything other than just posting and praying. Now, I'm sure that's not what Bob Murray does. I'm not suggesting that, but the added fee that we do propose is to give you that reassurance that we are actually redoing this for real. So we do charge a fee to redo it.
Can you remind us what that fee is?
Ours was pulling up my proposal as well. I think it was about 17,000.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, exactly 17,000.
17. Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Next question, anyone? More questions later, perhaps? At this point?
Anytime you want another question, just
Go for it, Greg.
call on me.
We're going to have public comment,
Okay, I can wait till after public comment.
if you like.
That's fine.
Okay, great. I don't have cards. I do have members of the public that are here. And City Clerk Coffey or Assistant City Clerk Emily Law, can you tell us if there are any people on the phone with hands raised?
We have one raised hand.
So if anyone who's here in the room would like to speak, please come forward. We'll start. I see one. And then we'll go to the phone.
Yes, I had a question to make sure I'm not wasting time, but, so I sent my comments in before noon. So do you have those? And
Yes.
do the two members of the candidates have those inputs?
I don't know if the candidates have seen the questions that were submitted before noon. They were posted on the website.
Okay.
Go ahead, though, Sue.
I'll do my summarization, I think.
Okay, we'll start your time now.
Okay, thank you. So because we're a coastal city and we're in the northern part of California, I think that the candidates, the city manager candidates, need to be aware of coastal issues because we have erosion both on the coast and the mountains. And we also we're sometimes separated from the rest of society transportation-wise, so transportation is a big deal. Small businesses are a big deal. And so income and revenue is very important. Also, our history is rather unique. I think our history is the most unique in the world. But anyway, our history is unique and we have culture, and sometimes concerned that those things are overlooked when we're looking for economic viability and sustainability and our destination. We are a destination, and there are differences of opinion of whether we should just be a suburb to good old San Francisco or, hey, we're unique. Let's really blossom in that way, which would be my vote. So I think that the city manager needs to be respectful of the public vote, and so a public vote locally, the Quarry, for example, HPD has been something, but otherwise public vote across the nation and in California would be the Coastal Commission. So I think that they should have at least a decent understanding of that and not prejudiced against it. There are ways of changing things if we don't feel like they're the best way to go, which would be, again, public vote. So I think being able to be willing to reach out to the community, not put any drawbacks on council. It's always expensive to outreach to the community, but hey, we are the community and we like to be engaged in public engagement and government of our own self-government. Thanks.
Thank you. I don't have any other cards, so let's go to the phone.
We have one raised hand from Casa Casilla.
Casa Casillas?
That would be Sam Casillas.
Yes.
Hi,
Hi, Sam. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to check in with the city council and ask a very important question. The fact is that the council will be turning over in about a year. Wherever your politics lie, there may be a good chance that the strategy and goals of the city will change based on the outcome of those elections. So why are we burdening a potential new city council that wants a completely new direction, more so as to what Councilmember Espinosa just mentioned, and as well as everything that Sue Degree has mentioned as well, that then we burden ourselves with that and the expense of that and potentially have to get a whole new city manager. There are two people who are going to be termed out. There's three others that have the time, but with two open seats, the strategies and goals and objectives of the city council has a potential to change exponentially, especially because of what we've seen over the past decade of a structural deficit that has been fixed, and also now taxing the citizens, as Councilmember Espinosa said, with no real viable alternative at the end. It's just basically covering the missteps that we've had over the past decade. So I ask that in all sincerity, that what should be potentially looking as an interim city manager, regardless of those outcomes, because of the fact that there may be huge changes, that then the people are going to be burdened with paying for this all over again instead of searching for an interim city manager. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are no other raised hands.
Okay. Seeing no further people coming forward, I'll go ahead and close public comment, bring it back to the council. And continue discussions, questions?
It looks like Myra has.
Oh,
a
I'm sorry.
question,
And
I've been
also Vice Mayor
hogging the
Bowles.
Yeah,
Go
just,
ahead.
Just a question. How often will you update us on on your search?
Whose turn is it?
So was that you or me, Tom?
That is
I'll do it weekly.
Tony, I
I'll
think.
do it, I do it weekly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I do it as much as the council needs, which is typically weekly.
Thank you.
You know, one of the things I do at the beginning of the search is I give, all the council members have my cell phone. And so any council member throughout the process can reach out to me. I take calls on weekends. Sometimes some council member might want to have more updates than another. Obviously, I clear all that with the council. I usually have a single point of contact with us through the city attorney or whoever.
Yes.
But I'm willing to talk to whoever wants to chat with me and give regular updates, however you want to see them.
Thank you. Greg? Oh, I'm sorry, Vice Mayor. Go ahead, Christine.
Well, I wrote down 2 questions before public comment that I thought would be helpful to the council. Like, I know the answers to them, but maybe could you both address your experience working with coastal cities and placing city managers in coastal cities that, you know, have the added purview of the Coastal Commission?
Gary, should I, want me to
That'll
start?
be Gary starting out.
Was that me on this one? Yeah, so,
Yes.
so thanks. The most recent one was Pacific Grove down there right next to Monterey. Recently did that city manager recruitment. I think the city is very similar in size and complexity. You know, a lot of the issues that I think Pacifica is dealing with, you know, Pacific Grove was also dealing with at the time they did their city manager recruitment. What I found, I've done a lot of tourism-driven economy cities, whether coastal commission or not, but a lot of times it's that challenge of meeting the needs of the tourism base while also meeting the needs of the residents in the community. And sometimes those are competing interests, and that can be a struggle. And the coastal commission just adds another complexity. So what I do is when I'm targeting candidates, I target candidates that have experience in their background dealing with the Coastal Commission because I know that can be a very challenging organization to work with. And there are a lot of folks out there that have really good relationships with the Coastal Commission. And I know a lot of those folks as well. So that's what I would do, is target folks that I know have experience working with Coastal Commissions.
Great. Thank you. Tony?
I'm smiling because the city that I left, Palos Verdes Estates, was a coastal city. The city before that, Rolling Hills, too. So personally, I've dealt with the Coastal Commission, and in Palos Verdes Estates, somewhat renowned, we had the Lanada Bay surfers who ended up suing us and going with the Coastal Commission, and it was quite a complicated series of events. So I've worked personally with the Coastal Commission a lot. I understand their jurisdiction, and I understand how they go about things, which, again, helps inform me as I look for folks and understand their experience working with the Coastal Commission. So that's personal. But I just was doing the Malibu city manager search. We are in the process of completing as a firm Hermosa Beach and Morro Bay. I did San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara. Santa Maria really didn't have a whole lot of coast there, but also part of that region. Very versed in Coastal Commission matters.
Thank you. Christine, did you want to go on with your next
sure.
question?
So,
Okay, go ahead.
Sure, I'll ask my next question. So we've talked about community and staff engagement a little bit with both of you, and the idea of doing surveys as a minimum of both those groups. So could you talk a little bit about that, what you see other cities doing, how that may be important as part of our search?
I think I go first.
And that will start with Tony.
I want to start out again saying this is a council decision. And the council knows the most about what the city manager does and what the responsibilities are. So ultimately, whatever input is collected through a process is really, I feel, to inform the city council so the council can make its best decision, whatever it is. When we go out and get input from the public, usually it's in the form of a survey. Again, the questions are aimed to inform the city council so they can make a good decision. There's really 3 times where I think there's a point of contact where the public could be involved. I think you have to be strategic in deciding how you want to move forward in any one of those. One is a survey for collecting input for writing that candidate profile. Another one is a survey and maybe presentation of that survey at a public meeting for after the candidate profile is written, but to help inform the council. So when it conducts interviews, it can have the input in mind for making its decision. And then finally, another time where cities engage the public may be through an interview process. And typically that would be through something more informal, a meet and greet, where it's a chance to, again, meet the candidates over any type of selection process, because ultimately the selection is the responsibility of the city council. It's probably the biggest decision the council is going to need to make over the course of being on the council. It ultimately, again, relies on the council to make the decision. That would be the 3 times where I think there's an opportunity.
Okay, with regards.
I'm sorry, just to finish with it. And in terms of staff
I was
outreach?
just about to say that.
Oh, yeah, thank you. That I feel is really important. And I think there's 2 opportunities for that, and we recommend that the city do this. One is before writing the candidate profile, I would hold a group meeting with the staff. Primarily, it would be the department heads, but really the council's call to hear what is important for them in a city manager to be effective in the role, and what's important for a city manager to know from them. So I'm write a candidate profile that's reflective of the ideal candidate. The other time is at the end of the process. We actually recommend a meet and greet with the department head group. The candidates really enjoy this and need it as well, because they want to know that this is a place where they will be successful. So it's an opportunity for the candidate to ask the staff questions while the staff also ask the candidate questions. It's not structured in our process as a rating because I keep going back to this is a council conversation. So I will hear the observations of the department head staff, and when the council is doing its second interviews, I will convey the observations of the department heads so the council can take those into consideration in making their decision. There are cases, not as often, where the city wants us to do a survey of everybody there. In some cases, city will do it itself. Either way, we can, prepare a survey and the city can distribute to all its staff if it wants. But the key people would be the department heads who report to the city manager.
Okay, thank you. Gary, please go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So you're going to hear some similar stuff here because Tony and I do very similar processes, but we'll talk about the community first. So there's a couple different ways to engage the community. The way I refer to it is on the front end of the process and then on the back end of the process. The front end of the process is as we're developing the brochure and beginning our marketing campaign, and the two different vehicles that we use to communicate with the community is a Survey Monkey, which allows you, to get out to those community members that aren't the folks that show up to your meetings normally, right? It's a way for you to push this survey out. And I think the value in doing that community survey is you can also learn what the community is feeling as the most important issues, opportunities, challenges facing the community that the new city managers can need to be prepared to deal with. So surveying the community up front can really help with that and help give the council some context as to what does the community feel is most important, and also what are the traits they're looking for in a city manager. So that upfront survey with the community, and then we can also do, and this is optional, it's no additional fee, but I can do Zoom listening sessions where you can invite the community to come to those sessions where they can speak in an open forum with me and answer those same questions that we do on the survey. So those are two different ways to engage the community on the front end. On the front end, I also like to, first I'll do the one-on-ones with the council members, and then I'll do that group meeting with the department heads. That information is what we're going to primarily use to develop that profile so that we can get the marketing campaign started and get the brochure done. Sometimes those additional community input sessions will happen during the marketing phase because that data is going to be valuable for the council once you start looking at candidates and interviewing candidates. So we kind of parallel track that so we can keep the timeline concise. And then on the back end of the process, I absolutely think we do a 2-round process. I like to have the council do the first round of interviews with me as a facilitator and let the council eliminate whoever the 5 of you feel wouldn't be a good fit, because this is your hire. Once you get it down to a few finalists, then we would then do the backgrounds and reference checks and bring them back for a second and final round of interviews. And that's where we could engage the department heads, which I really think there's a lot of value in that. As Tony said, we don't let them rank the candidates because we don't want staff to be painting the council into a corner. We let them know that this is still the council's hire, but we like to get, what were the positives about each candidate, and were there any red flags or concerns that popped up, so that can help drive your conversations, the council's conversations with the candidates, because you've now heard the feedback from staff and how they connected with these finalists. In some cases, some cities will actually want to have a community component to that as well and have a community panel. And that's really driven by the council and whether you think that that's something that you feel that you need to have. We can manage both of those panels on the same day. The important thing here is to make sure that the council has all the information that they feel they need to make a good informed decision.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I don't have any more lights. I'm sorry?
Is mine on?
You're what?
My light.
No, that's. There you go. Now it is. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I'm going to get the microphone. This question is just because we want to make sure, like, if it's possible that people here in Pacifica, they know that we're hiring a city manager. So my question is, how do you find people who aren't looking for any job, but specifically want this job?
It's going to be Gary.
I think that's me on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's actually a great question because we talk about that all the time. Sometimes the best candidate is the one that's not looking, right? And so that's where targeted outreach comes into play, right? We're going to be placing ads in all the professional publications with all the diversity groups, and we're going to be doing mass marketing on LinkedIn. If you look at our LinkedIn profile between Valerie Gata Phillips and Bob Murray Associates, we have almost 40,000 followers. So everybody will know that Pacifica has got a city manager recruitment open. That won't be the challenge. The challenge will be, how do we get to those folks that aren't paying attention to that stuff? And the way you do that is through your network, is by picking up the phone and making those phone calls. And so that's a big part of the work that recruiters do, and that I do, is I've got several hundred city managers in my cell phone, and I'll start calling them. A lot of them I might realize that they're not looking right now, but I'm going to tap each one of their networks. I'm going to say, John, who do you know that this might be a good for? This is what's important to them. This is what I need. I need a coastal commission. I need someone with a strong finance background, economic development. And then they'll start, and so it's tapping everyone else's network and leveraging that is how we get to those folks that may not be looking. And I can honestly say that I have placed city managers where they received our brochure in the mail. They received an email push from us, no interest. The third thing was the phone call they got from me. And they told me, they said, Gary, the brochure came across my desk. I looked at it, I said, I'm happy right now. Then I got the email from you, and I was still kind of, but then when you called me, you got me at a time where I had time to kind of pay attention. I listened. Ultimately, I placed that person as a city manager. So a lot of times it's the persistence, it's the targeted outreach that helps get to those folks that maybe aren't looking right now that might be the perfect fit.
Okay, thank you. Tony.
And we do the same thing. I mean, we have a tremendous following on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. We have a newsletter that gets pushed out every month that we know that a lot of people see because they call us. But we don't rely on that at all. We all have ads that we place. It's just part of the process. It really is shoe leather, boots on the ground. It's making the phone calls to try to find people that align with what you're looking for. And it's the network that we have. You'll see that we don't, every recruiter, including me, doesn't do more than maybe 5 searches at one time. That allows each of us to really, really concentrate on the clients that we have to find folks. So we're not, again, posting and praying and waiting, but we're actually making the phone calls. And, my network, I should have mentioned at the beginning, on the board of directors, I was on the board of directors of at the time, League of California Cities, now Cal Cities, served as city manager, department president. I have a network from being a city manager, now also as a recruiter. We both have these networks, and it just takes picking up the phone and calling folks.
Thank you. Councilmember Wright.
Ms. Espinoza.
I have one last one, and I'm going to.
Okay, it's going to be Wright, Beer, Espinoza.
Okay.
Go ahead, Greg.
I would appreciate it if the two would discuss the pros and cons of experience versus up and coming.
Experienced versus up and coming. Okay, Tony, please go ahead.
I want to add, again, COVID plays into this. I think there are definitely folks with it, and I'm going to play it into actually filling the position here. Absolutely, there's folks who are going to want this job. They're going to want your city. City managers are problem solvers, and I know we're going to get folks with experience. We're not going to get folks that are at the end of their career, though, with that much experience because they're retiring. That baby boomer retirement, the silver tsunami is absolutely happening. So there's folks with experience who've been around the block, who are probably with similar size cities or smaller cities. They're going to want this position. And the value is, as you might imagine, they've been around the block. They know the Coastal Commission. They know how to deal with the challenges that you're going to have. Conversely, up-and-comers are probably your assistant city managers in a bigger city, which still do have a lot of the same experiences. It could be an assistant or a department head, comparable city, or possibly a smaller city. They're probably going to be less risk adverse because that's the generation. It's not a personal thing. I mean, you're going to get city managers that are experienced who are absolutely going to take risk and be innovators and change agents. But the younger generation, I feel, are more in tune with the AI. and technology, and looking to apply newer solutions that some of the more seasoned folks may not be familiar with because they're used to working in a particular environment. I'll conclude with, there's advantages to both, and I really feel you'll see both. Then you'll have a good decision to make.
Thank you. Gary?
So I'm going to track there with Tony on, there's pluses and minuses to both. I think one of the things that you need to look at is who is Pacifica going to make sense for, right? When you look at the candidate pool, city size, those types of things, you're going to have people that are either on their way up in their career, those up and comers, those first time city managers. I think Pacifica is the right size city for first time city managers. I think it's a manageable size. And I think you do get those folks that they come in with a lot of energy, a lot of fire in the belly, and they got something to prove, right? And every city manager out there was a first-time city manager. Every successful city manager had their first city, right? So I've placed quite a few assistant city managers as first-time city managers, and they've been very successful. I think Pacifica is a good-sized city for that. For the experience pool of candidates, I think for a city like Pacifica, a lot of times what it comes down to is quality of life. An experienced city manager may be looking for Pacifica, a place like Pacifica, because it's still got some meat on the bone, it's still got some challenges, but they want to go there for the quality of life or some personal reasons. And sometimes you can get, some really great experience. The challenge, I don't say challenge, but the thing that I always look at when I'm talking to candidates is I want to hear from the candidates professionally why they're interested in the position, but also personally why they're interested in the position. Sometimes you get candidates who'll throw their hat in the ring in multiple opportunities. I want them to explain to me why Pacifica specifically, so that I can marry those two, both personal and professional reasons why it makes sense for them. Because I think you get a better candidate when you got somebody that's invested both personally and professionally.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Beer.
Thank you both so much. I was the one that asked about the diversity and equity in your outreach, and I think something that I'm concerned about is the region and how big it is and how important it is for us to get the information up and down our coast side, and perhaps some language translation into Spanish. And so I don't know if you do any of that, but I'm really interested to see how you're going to reach like far and wide in the region that isn't social media.
And we'll start with Gary.
That was
right?
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as far as translation, we have done translation in brochures before. I mean, that's definitely something that we can do. I think we want to make sure that our target audience is folks that are technically qualified to do the job as well. So you want to make sure that they have the professional experience and the technical qualifications to do the job. But I think, getting when you talk about the region and you're talking about up and down the coastline, that's that targeted outreach to all the coastal cities from the north to the south. Regionally, I'm really well connected in the North California, from the Bay Area north and into this central coast. So I feel like we have the ability, with not just with social media, but with a targeted outreach, to get to all those different groups that you're referring to.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tony.
We've also done brochures in Spanish. We've done the surveys in Spanish as well. But I want to, again, echo what Gary said. It really comes down to the targeted outreach, making it known in the outreach that you're looking for somebody who's bilingual, somebody who values and embodies diversity, and making that clear in the communications when we're searching for folks and how we represent it. And I'll add one more thing, that searches these days are not California specific. Once you send it to ICMA and you put it in Western cities and you put it in some of these other municipal job boards, they actually go international. But we see a lot of folks applying from out of state as well. And clearly the other states have coasts as well, maybe not with a coastal commission like ours. But if they're experienced city manager, what's unique to us is absolutely learnable. And with a strong staff behind that person, it's easy to figure out how to make this work and then learn it and become proficient in it.
Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you. Myra?
We went back to, I'm going to go back to the warranty, and you didn't say a number, like what is your success rate of the people that you hire, that you do replacement in their 2-3 years? So, and how many of them are still on their job? It's important to me to know that.
I think I'm first, and I have not had to do another one. I've been doing this now since 2020, and I have not had somebody leave and have to do a replacement.
Thank you, Tony. Gary?
So, I haven't calculated those numbers, but in a while, but it's less than 5% have left, within 5 years. So there's a lot of things that can affect a city manager leaving. A lot of it has to do with election cycles and council changes and their needs changing. But I think one of the things that I saw is since COVID, the turnover has increased. And during COVID, I had a couple placements that I made during COVID that they didn't stick. And that was because the entire process was done virtually. And a big part of what makes a city manager successful is those relationships that they need to build with the council and with the staff. And so during COVID, I had a couple different city manager recruitments that I had to redo because that whole entire virtual process just didn't work out. And so I had to redo those.
Understood. Thank you.
Council members, I just want to give a time check at 6:34.
Thank you for that. I was just going to turn it back to Greg, but I wanted to make sure that you are selective in your question because we need time for deliberation.
Okay, I have 2 more questions.
Okay.
My first question is, just as a frame of reference, my wife is a half-empty kind of person, and I'm a very much half-overflowing full kind of person. But I would like them to discuss what are some of the pros and cons of someone with the characteristics of looking for a way to say yes versus looking for a reason to say no.
And that will start with Gary.
I think that's me. Yeah. So that's an interesting question. It's funny. I get that a lot when I'm doing city attorney recruitments, believe it or not, because city attorneys sometimes. What's that?
Amazing.
Is that Michelle? Because a lot of times, the city attorney's office sometimes can be viewed as that roadblock, or they're the one that always says no, you can't do that. And so to me, that's a question that part of my questioning and part of my learning with candidates is understanding their mentality to problem solving and their approach to looking for ways to get to yes. Not starting with no, starting with, I'm not sure if we can do that this way, but let's look at another way to approach it. Understanding what you're trying to accomplish as a council, and then trying to figure out how do we get the council where they want to go. That approach is what we look for in city managers. It's versus just that, no, you can't do that. So it's really about understanding their approach to problem solving and being able to listen and understand where the council's trying to go and helping them get there.
Great. Tony.
and again, not too much to add to that. I think by nature, city managers are problem solvers, and they're looking to go into a place, be successful there, and make a difference, make lives better for folks, and solve problems. So, I think by nature, you're going to find folks who want to find a consensus, find a way to yes, find the positives to work things out, bring the five of you together, for a consensus or majority to move forward. So I'm not really answering your question about the pros and cons of that, but I think by nature there are city managers out there primarily who are more, let's get to a yes and figure out how to solve this problem.
Okay, Greg, you said you had two.
And my last one was, when I was sitting down thinking about what are we looking for in a city manager, I was able to make way too big a list, but I was wondering what the top 4 or 5 or 6 characteristics that they believe are the important ones for Pacifica to consider.
Tony.
And I think I'm first. So
Yes.
I would say one of the primary ones, again, from my homework, is having a finance or budget background and experience. Again, you have your Measure Y, you have your fiscal plan that's showing a structural deficit if something's not done. I think you need somebody with that financial savvy to work with you to figure that out. I think another strong quality will be the coastal experience, because that is unique to the city. I heard the person from the public talk about the culture of the community. So I think somebody who can understand what you're about, your history, where you want to go in the future, and have the problem-solving skills, vision, foresight, strategic planning, perspective for moving the organization forward successfully. I heard from the interview with the ad hoc committee that the organization, the department heads and staff themselves are a really strong group of folks. And I think there's a skill set there for doing that organizational development, keeping them together, keeping, again, the city moving forward administratively. So I think that's a key component. And then you have, I believe, in my homework, an in-house police department. Public safety is a unique attribute. And I think having that experience or maybe broader labor relations experience would be a key attribute. Those are just off the top of my head. And I think that was 5.
Yes, it was. Thank you. Gary.
Yeah, so I was earlier I was looking at your strategic plan and saw, you have both Measure Y and Measure M. So you've done the tax measure, the half-cent sales tax, and the TOT you've increased. So you've handled that part of it. So I think you guys are now looking at fiscal sustainability. You're looking at economic development and revenue growth. So obviously somebody with a strong finance background, but you also touch a lot about community engagement and also communications. So those are I think a couple of the key areas. I don't think you need a change agent to come in and fix a broken city hall. You don't need that. But I think your 10-year fiscal forecasting that you're going to do, I think is going to require somebody who's got a strong finance background to be able to stick to that. One of the things that I think is common across all city managers now, the city manager job has evolved over the last 15 or 20 years. It's changed. And city managers used to be able to sit behind a desk and run City Hall from behind a desk. And if they were really good with numbers, they could be they could run the operations really well. And you had long runs of city managers, but as local politics changed, as social media came on, and City Hall became a fishbowl instead of a walled castle, the people skills are way more important than they ever used to be. And so I put that at the top of the list first. These other technical pieces are important, but I think you need somebody that, especially in a small, high-touch community like Pacifica, you want somebody that's very comfortable engaging in the community, is willing to become part of that small community, and is not afraid to come out to the counter and talk to a citizen when they come in. It's too small of a city hall to not do that, and so there are some city managers that are comfortable in that space, and some that would rather have you delegate that to other folks. So I think it's really important that you find somebody that's got the right people skills and really enjoys the people aspect of the job.
All right. And with that,
Thank you.
council, I'm looking at the clock, and I'm recognizing that we need a few minutes to discuss, deliberate, and decide. Is there anyone who would like to state anything up front, or shall we go down the line? I certainly haven't spoken much because I was part of the ad hoc, and I had my questions answered there, but I do have, some observations that I can lend as well.
I'd like to have an opportunity to make an introductory statement. I want to express my appreciation to the ad hoc committee because I feel like both choices that we have here before us seem to be very strong candidates, and I'm sure it was not easy to figure out. It's kind of like when we do our committee assignments, and it's not an easy task. And the fact of the results that you came up with, I just want to express my appreciation to you for working together to make that happen. Thank you.
You're welcome. Councilmember Beer. Maybe you're not ready to speak. You were reaching for your mic.
I was ready almost,
But you're not. Okay, that's fine.
I'm almost ready.
Myra.
No, I'm good. I just,
Okay.
hear from others.
Christine.
I mean,
I'll go
the
if you
point-
want.
The point that we're here is that we both like both of these candidates.
Right.
So,
That was going to be one of my questions for you guys.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead, Sue. Why don't
Sure.
You have some.
I'll tell you, you're right, Greg, this wasn't easy, and it was quite like that process. But some of the things that I heard that really offered a little bit of differentiation that I think in this community are especially important is the idea of listening to the community, engaging with the community, figuring out ways to do that. And not just, because these individuals here are not going to be the city manager, clearly, but they are the agent helping to bring us candidates. And so for me, somebody who really gets the need for that in Pacifica, who gets us right out the gate, is the person that we need to help us find the next city manager. And from my, analysis, it's very close, but I do have to say that I have a preference for Gary. I feel like the presentation, both in the proposal and in the approach, the thoughtful approach to the answers to questions, I could give you, more specifics because I have my notes here from the interviews with the ad hoc. But that's just what I wanted to say, and I appreciate the expertise of both of these individuals because, honestly, putting them both forward was for a reason.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And because I honestly, that's what stood out to me too, was the relationship building, the community panel, the Zoom listening sessions, the guaranteed fee, and they're both so talented.
I know.
Right? So it's not like one's bad and one's good,
Exactly.
but that stood out to me definitely, and so then I would be drawn to Gary Phillips as well.
Myra.
I think I'm going to be, it is important to me to have a city manager who is financially savvy, who think about outside the box, that is not predictable, that we can, the city, Pacifica, I think a good city manager can also do wonder here because we kind of, things are very very raw here, and we can do so many things with the resources that we have. So I would like to see a city manager who wants to dig into the economic development, more into all aspects, not only one, like housing and stuff like that. It is important, but let's just look at everything, like businesses, tourism, and a way to bring money to the city. Also, engagement is important, the community. It's important to hear what the community wants, because this is what we're here. We're here for the community. So a city manager, like Gary mentioned, that feel comfortable talking to anyone who comes to the city hall and have a conversation with them. I think that is important to me. So I'm going to reserve the name that what I'm going to vote for later.
Okay.
There has to be a motion, right? So, I mean, if you have a preference, it would be good to know now, because we need to wrap.
Gary.
Christine, did you?
I would like to benefit from hearing what the other ad hoc committee person, the person who knows just as much as.
Actually, when we first got the proposals, Gary's is the one that stood out to me, because it was a real collaborative and a unique process that he was spelling out that we were going to be able to determine. I think Tony is super professional, and, you know, I mean, digging into those same questions, which may not have been addressed in the initial proposal, he is doing all those things too. And anyway, so I hear what you're saying, and I respect that. I heard a little bit more from Tony in terms of experience, you know, finding coastal candidates and work with the Coastal Commission, and just his own experience as a city manager that could be helpful too. But again, I think both firms would do a great job, and I'm happy with what we all, you know, decide together. So.
Thank you for the work you did.
I was impressed with both candidates. As usual, I tried to do my homework. I did make a number of phone calls to reach out, and did solicit a fair amount of outside opinion as well to help shape my opinion. And the conclusion I came up with, although it may have been slightly tainted by the fact that I started my community service with soccer, and there was a line in there about one person being a soccer coach.
Okay, great.
But besides that, I do not think that there's really a bad choice here. But overall, considering all what I've been presented with, what I've heard from you, what I've heard from the candidates, and what I heard from all the phone calls I make, Gary would be my first choice.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and make a motion. Are we ready for that? Okay, I move that we accept Gary Phillips, Bob Murray and Associates to be the firm to recruit our new city manager.
And authorize the city manager to enter into an agreement with Bob Murray and Associates.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
I'll second that one.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
And with the motion to select Gary Phillips from Bob Murray and Associates, made by Councilmember Beer and seconded by Councilmember Espinosa, passes unanimously. And this is also to enter into an agreement with the firm.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Christine?
So beyond the decision, and thank you, I'm glad we've been able to work through that, and appreciate all your questions. Because we're on a tight schedule, you know, Gary will be interviewing all of us to try to get information for the brochure, and then he will be drafting the brochure and sending it to all of us for review.
Through Michelle.
But we cannot have we cannot discuss this in a closed session. We cannot discuss this together except on the dais, and there's not really time to do that and get the brochure out before the holidays. So we want to make sure that, you know, the process might be that all give your input, and then the ad hoc committee would finalize, try to incorporate all those comments and finalize it. So I wanted to make sure you're comfortable with that.
Absolutely.
The intent would be not to have 5 people red penciling the document, but to have 2 people red penciling it, and it circulate through via Michelle to all of the council members.
Great.
As with the formation of the ad hoc committee, I would have preferred to be involved, but I do respect and appreciate the work that was done both in the past and that I'm sure that I can look forward to in the future.
And just to clarify, Madam Mayor, if I may, these would be individual meetings with council members, so. to
Correct,
avoid-
because we were not going to have a public meeting, and so we have to have individual input.
Right, and not relay any input from other council members.
And then just confirming, they each have one survey included in their proposals, assuming that that's a community survey, but I think we were thinking that both were important, both a community survey and a staff survey, yeah.
By staff, do you mean only staff heads, staff, or?
I was meaning all staff, so he'll be interviewing department heads, right, and so forth, but, so that everyone gets
I
a
would
word in.
second that emotion.
Okay? So that would mean amending the agreement if needed to accommodate the cost of just a second survey.
Right, so that would be, I assume that'd be an optional change to his agreement, but what I'm hearing from a majority of the council is that you want both,
Is that okay with you, Myra? Do you agree with that? Yes.
both a community and staff survey.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other
Is
direction
that
the
on the
council wants to
record
give
vocally?
on the timeline?
Do you want us to vote on that, City Attorney?
Just so that everybody is spoken into a mic? Or
No.
is it-
No. We
No, I
don't
think
need-
just consensus is enough.
Yeah, and we have a majority consensus.
Okay. Very well.
So
Anything else? Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate you. And thanks, Planning Commission, for your indulgence. And the meeting is adjourned at 6:54 PM.